pettiest reason you've rejected someone? Whenever I met someone new through dating apps or friends, I'd take them to this little Italian place called Nonna's on our first date. Not because the food was amazing, though it was pretty good, but because their service was intentionally slow. I'm talking like, you'd wait 20 minutes just to get water. The kitchen was always backed up because they only had 2 cooks for the whole restaurant. Most people who went there regularly knew this and just enjoyed the atmosphere, but I used it as my own personal dating filter. My coworker Jess set me up with this guy Daniel she knew from her gym. He seemed decent enough over text, had a good job, liked dogs, the usual green flags. We agreed to meet at Nonna's on a Thursday night. I got there first and warned the hostess, Maria, that I was doing my usual test. She laughed and said she'd make sure our table got the full experience. I'd been coming there for 2 years, so the staff knew my deal by now. Daniel showed up right on time wearing a nice button-down and jeans. Good start. We sat down and Maria handed us menus, then disappeared for exactly 15 minutes before coming back for our drink order. That's when I noticed Daniel's first reaction. He kept checking his phone and looking around like he was trying to flag down a waiter. When Maria finally came back, he ordered a beer with this tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. Our drinks took another 20 minutes. I watched Daniel's jaw clench as he started tapping his fork against the table. When Maria brought the bread basket, he muttered under his breath, "Finally, Jesus." I pretended not to hear it and asked him about his work. He answered, but I could tell he was distracted. Every few minutes, he'd glance toward the kitchen or check the time on his phone. By the time our entrees came out, we'd been there for over an hour. Daniel's chicken parmesan looked amazing, but his face was pure frustration. I apologized and said the service was usually faster, which was a complete lie. He waved me off and said, "Yeah, well, some people just don't know how to run a business properly." Then he took a huge bite and chewed aggressively. That's when Maria walked by our table, and Daniel raised his voice loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. "Hey, think we'll get dessert before midnight, or should I just order it for tomorrow?" I felt my stomach drop. Maria's face went red, but she just nodded and hurried away. I knew she had absolutely no control over how fast the kitchen worked. She was just trying to do her job. But Daniel wasn't done. When she brought our check, he pulled out a calculator app on his phone and started doing math out loud. 18% of $43. Nah, that's way too much for this kind of service. He left exactly $2 on a $43 bill. $2. I stared at the money on the table. That's only like 4%. He shrugged. "I'm not here to fund incompetence. Maybe next time they'll get their act together." I pulled out a 20 and put it next to his $2. "The waitress doesn't control how fast the kitchen works." Daniel laughed. "That's their problem to figure out. I paid for a service and the service